everyone. Architect Kenneth Filarski here with the show Designing for Sustainability on the Renewable Now Network. I'm here with Jim Murphy, Sustainability Coordinator for Rhode Island College, and we're awaiting the opening, the start, the beginning of GREENBUILD Boston 2017. Welcome back, everyone. Architect Kenneth Filarski here with the show Designing for Sustainability on the Renewable Now Network. I'm here with Jim Murphy, Sustainability Coordinator for Rhode Island College, and we're waiting for the doors to open to GREENBUILD Boston 2017. They're lined up. There are 18 billion people deep waiting to crash the doors. We'll show you that later. But right now, Jim, this is your first GREENBUILD, isn't it?
It is, and I'm very excited to be here. It's kind of a sneak peek to the future. You know, we have a lot of opportunity to see many different vendors in the realm of energy efficiency, water efficiency, anything to do with buildings.
We're going to be, I know we're going to be talking to architect Bill McDonough of Cradle to Cradle. We'll be talking with, I think, the chairman of the USGBC Board of Directors, but part of GREENBUILD is also the keynote speakers. Former President Bill Clinton will be here. The noted, is he an astronomer or astrophysicist, Neil deGrasse Tyson will be closing GREENBUILD on Friday. But right now, it's time to kick off GREENBUILD 2017 with Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker.
And without further ado, our special guest speaker for this morning, Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker.
Good morning, everybody. Let me just start by welcoming you all here on behalf of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the City of Boston, and to just say how honored and thrilled we are to have you here to take this conference to the next level and to continue engaging in the discussion about sustainability, GREENBUILD, and the opportunity we all have to use new techniques, new technologies, and public-private partnerships, building codes, and a whole variety of other means and mechanisms to create a more sustainable future. Several people already pointed out that Massachusetts has more LEED certified buildings per capita than any other place in the country. I also just want to remind folks that for the last 7 years in a row, Massachusetts has finished #1 in the country in energy efficiency. I think at some point they should just put us in the Hall of Fame and hang everyone up. I also want to say that our Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs, who's here, the first time I met with Matt Beaton was at his house, which he built himself, which is a passive energy house. It's cool in the summer, it's warm in the winter, and it's off the grid. Well, how'd you pull that off, buddy? Between design, smart design, new materials, and different approaches to both the use of those materials, there are tons of opportunities for us to continue to be a far more environmentally conscious community. We here in the Commonwealth work with our colleagues in local government, we work with our colleagues in the architectural and development community to make Massachusetts the kind of place where we consider sustainability to be a fundamental aspect of the way we build, design our buildings, and also the way we think about structuring our communities and creating our future. We're thrilled to have you all here. We're very grateful for your presence. We hope you spend lots of money while you're here. That's very important to all of us. And I also want to just give a shout out to the terrific team here at the Convention Center, which will be serving you for the next few days. They do a wonderful job. It's a first-rate organization, and we are, as I said, we are all really thrilled to have so many of you from so many places, 110 countries, here to discuss this enormously important issue and move the body of knowledge forward. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great week.
door is now open. Let all people in now, folks.
Jim, it's amazing. What we just saw is Governor Baker cut the ribbon, and he got this crowd just incredibly energized. Now we go to the rest of the Green Build, and I know it's going to be a grueling 2.5 days. We're going to have to sustain ourselves, but I know one of the people that we're going to be talking to is renowned architect Bill McDonough, who was the author, father, birther, so to speak, of the Cradle to Cradle movement. And for our audience out there, Cradle to Cradle is a concept where things just don't go away. They're reused, repurposed, recycled. And Jim, I know that in the many times that we've talked together, Rhode Island College and you as the sustainability coordinator for the college have an interesting example, a small example, but albeit a very worthwhile example of how you're practicing Cradle to Cradle at Rhode Island College.
Well, it starts with our graduates. Their caps and gowns are made out of 209 recycled plastic water bottles. And then from there, they have the ability to recycle them again into carpeting. So it's a use of plastics in 3 different ways.
That's interesting, and it also ties together with, again, another interview we'll be doing here at the show with Mohawk Carpets, because they have 100% recycled carpet content, I should say, and materials, and it's just the way that things are going. That being said, I think it's time now to go have our talk with Bill McDonough. Welcome again, architect Kent Filarski with the show Designing for Sustainability on the Renewable Now Network. Today at GREENBUILD, I'm almost speechless because I just heard Bill McDonough talk about many things. One was a surprise. One was his 30-year journey into where now he's being catapulted into who knows. But Bill McDonough is a renowned architect, global thinker, and someone who makes things happen. So, Bill, why don't you just, for the audience, just give a quick overview, and I know it's difficult, about what started you thinking to get where you are now, and then we'll move on to something else.
Well, I'm often asked that question, and I do have to trace it back to my being born in Tokyo after the Second World War. And as a baby, I remember listening to the ox carts with the farmers coming to collect our sewage to make fertilizer and go to the farm. So as a little child, it was poop stories that my mother would sing to us about in Japanese. And I always thought the cities and the farms were one thing, and I still do. So the idea that the earth is fundamentally based on soil health for humans is really important to me, because otherwise we just have minerals, water, and solar energy. But when it all comes together as life and biology, we realize this is a form of exquisite order out of chaos. And so that's been the theme of my work, from the beginning. And you remember in the etymology of the words humus, human, and humility, they all have the same root. So we humans are of the humus. We are from soil. And humility means to be grounded. So all I'm trying to do is stay grounded.
Well, you certainly strike a resonant chord with me, and I'm always amazed at why more architects and more people don't think like you. But let's go on. I mean, you had a big announcement today, actually several big announcements the last couple of months. As you say, it was a 30-year what?
Overnight sensation.
Yeah, 30-year overnight sensation. So there's big news from Walmart, Home Depot, and also the U.S. Green Building Council.
Right.
Touch on that briefly, and then we'll talk about, all right, what's next?
Well, Walmart has announced that it will encourage cradle-to-cradle certified products as they approach their concerns around sustainability and chemistry. So that's a very exciting thing for us, that we'd be chosen as a certification that they can encourage. So, and the first one listed, which is really nice in this press release. That's 2 weeks ago. Last week, the Home Depot announced in their Eco Solutions program that they're going to encourage cradle-to-cradle certified products for Home Depot. So that's a really great moment too. And then today, now, here at Greenbuild. USGBC and Green Business Certifications Inc., which is spun off from USGBC, have just announced partnering with the Cradle Products Innovation Institute, which I founded and created with Dr. Braungart and gave to the public as a gift. So there's going to be a direct association and support to encourage Cradle as the world's premier product quality certification.
What's nice about that is that it gets out of the sort of the rarefied atmosphere that usually most professionals are involved with and brings it down to the consumer level, you know, the everyday person. You talked about mothers shopping at Walmart on Friday night. Again, trying to just keep things together and keep things going on. So, all right, now that you've had this 30-year overnight success, what's next?
Well, I'm very concerned about the future of information and how it will affect our ability to deal with the world. I'm essentially thinking about how do we use artificial intelligence, which is statistical significance and calculation, to enhance natural intelligence. So we have the science of the artificial, but we can have the science of the natural world as well. So what does nature tell us we want to do this intelligence? So we can inform the artificial intelligence with human values, not just numerical value, but with human values so that the machines and the tools are actually performing things that we want to see, not that the machines want to replicate, but what we want the machines to do as tools for human intention. So that's a big focus now. So I'm looking at the future of data centers in the world as being renewably powered. I have strategies for that. So we have carbon-free data. So we can crunch massive amounts of data doing all kinds of Internet of Things and blockchains and you name it, but it won't destroy the planet in the process. That to me is really urgent and important. The amount of energy required to move those bits around is immense. So I want to work on that. I'm very concerned about the Arctic peoples, because we're about to see, because of climate change, we're about to see the Arctic oceans and territories being exposed to water that weren't there, and then we'll have a scramble with people trying to take advantage of it in various ways. And I'm concerned about the native peoples there and what this will mean to them. So how can we help with that? And with Cradle, it's time for this to become just normal. And I was pleased that a head of an English department the other day in a famous British university said that they're using Cradle as the text for the course in rhetoric, because we seem to have discovered the obvious, and that you read for 4.5 hours and then you put the book down and say, well, that was obvious, and then you realize it wasn't obvious at all before you read the book. So that's successful rhetoric. You made the argument. So that's why they're using it to teach how to make an argument. So I'm very excited to see, after all these years, that this is resonating with so many people.
Well, to tell you the truth, we all can't wait. And earlier when you talked to the group here at Greenbuild, you talked about luxury and heritage, but you talked about luxury in the way that it's accessible to the common touch. And I do think that one thing that we learned today is that we're glad to share the luxury of your mind at Greenbuild and for all the work that you've done. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ken Filarski here, architect with the show Designing for Sustainability as part of the Renewable Now Network. We're here at Greenbuild, and today one of the people that we're talking to is Seth Arnold from Mohawk.
That's right.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about your product, Seth?
Well, we're very excited about Aero. So Aero is a residential product, and it is the first 100% recyclable soft flooring. So basically what we've done, we've taken a traditional carpet, and which is made from roughly about eight ingredients, and we've converted the entire product to one ingredient, which is a PET or a polyester product. So what you can do then is, because it's made from one simple ingredient, it's a very simple, easy to recycle product.
What would it be recycled into?
So it's a good question. I have an example of how the product is constructed here, and you've got a primary backing and carpet face, and then you have a high quality synthetic cushion, okay? So when we recycle it, we take the whole thing back, we simply separate the two, and we mechanically grind it and put it right back into either the backing or the face fiber of the carpet. So it goes right back into a new carpet.
With me today is a wonderful person from the U.S. Green Building Council, Jeremy Sigmund. Jeremy?
Hey, Ken, how are you?
Good.
Thanks for being a green build.
Well, actually this is my first green build.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
It's true. It's true. Things always got in the way. In fact, a train got in the way this morning. I missed it, but so I had to drive up here. But Jeremy, why don't you give us a little bit of background about what's interesting to you about the U.S. Green Building Council right now and some of the bigger initiatives that are going on?
Well, Ken, we're really excited to be here in Boston. This is our second time that we've been here, so close to you. I'm surprised you didn't make it before, but we're excited about being here in Boston, not only because Boston is really leading on sustainability. There's a ton of tours this week, education sessions. We had the governor here to cut the ribbon this morning on the world's largest conference and expo trade show floor right here behind me. And so we're excited about, of course, Massachusetts and New England and the green building work that's going on here. But we're also really excited about the green build being the epicenter of the global green building community. And so we've been announcing new partnerships and alliances with work we're doing around the world. We've actually just finished a green build conference in India just a couple of days ago. Yesterday we launched the new partnership with the Cradle to Cradle product certification program that'll now be part of the U.S. Green Building Council and Green Business Certification Inc.'s family. And we're excited about resilience, which is a really important and big topic, of course, for here in New England and also around the globe. We have a bunch of lawmakers joining us throughout the week to talk about resilience, and we actually have partnered with the realy Resilient Building Rating System to now be part of the USGBC and GBCI family of rating systems. So we have a lot of new things to offer, and it's right here, all happening at Greenbuild.
Well, what's amazing to me is that starting from what seemed to be the simple LEED rating system, now we have a whole continuum of rating systems that hopefully will dovetail together and create a lot of synergies.
Yeah, we're very excited. We started LEED in 1999 in our pilot version, and then into 1.0 around 2000. And since then, we've been growing that program globally, of course, here in the U.S., and we're now certifying up almost 2 million square feet of real estate to LEED every single day. But we know that that's one piece of the puzzle, and it's also one very small piece of the buildings industry. We still have to get to the other, 80% or so of the buildings that haven't enjoyed the LEED experience. But what we've recognized is that we have something powerful in real estate and in buildings. So how can we take that to other sectors, working with different industries that are looking for leadership standards and a way to galvanize investment and opportunity behind sustainability leadership in those sectors? So we're working on parking systems and transportation systems. We're working with sustainable landscapes. We're working now with real estate portfolios and companies and funds that are looking for sustainability metrics and defining leadership. So we have now upwards of a dozen of these programs that are underneath the USGBC and GBCI umbrella, and all of them are intended to be taken to scale, similar to what we're doing with LEED. I think we probably need a little bit more time, but that's what this whole week is about, is exposing us to the new opportunities and getting energized and coming back next year to celebrate all the wins.
Hello everyone, architect Ken Filarski with the show Designing for Sustainability as part of the Renewable Now Network. We're here at GREENBUILD Boston at the exhibitor Toto, and with me I have Bill Strang. Bill, tell us a little bit about yourself and your wonderful line of products.
I'll tell you, you're here in the Toto booth and you're going to get a chance to see all about Toto product for the bathroom as well as our wonderful washlet Toto bidet. Have you ever had a chance to test drive a washlet Toto bidet?
No.
No, Ken, I promise you. If you test drive this washlet bidet, I promise you it'll change your life. It is absolutely remarkable.
Do I have to do it here now?
Actually, we can go over here to the back room and you can test drive it. But I promise you, we've got places in New York and also in California and across the nation where you can actually test drive this product in showrooms as well as in our galleries.
Now, I understand that Toto is the largest manufacturer of plumbing products, is that correct?
That's correct. So on a global basis.
I never realized that.
Well, of course, we're such a strong presence in Japan. We have about a 60% market share in the country of Japan. And so that means we dominate the marketplace in Japan. We're sort of the Microsoft of toilets. But we do so well in Japan, and of course we have a very strong Asian-centric presence, but we've been here in the United States for about 26 years and have just grown our business presence here strongly as a result of our water conservation efforts and the kind kind of innovations we bring to the market.
Well, let's talk about that water conservation, because that's what GREENBUILD is all about.
Absolutely.
Sustainability. So why, extol the merits of Toto.
And so, certainly, when the EPAC law of 1992 went into effect, the challenge was to get to a 3.5 gallon down to a 1.6 gallon flush toilet and be successful. Toto was able to do that right out of the box. And so we were able to gain a lot of traction back then. And back then, social media was the plumber. Our best advocate was the plumber telling the story of Toto being successful in the marketplace. So flash forward to now, we've now understood through our life cycle assessment carbon footprinting that the single largest consumption use of energy and water in the life cycle of a toilet is in the use phase. And so that drove us to a decision to take water conservation to the very lowest level, which is 1 gallon flush toilets for both commercial and residential products that we have here at the show today, and have been very successful, even in states like California, just adopting that product for the market.
How do your toilets work in an area, say a neighborhood where there's low water pressure in the sewer lines?
That's a great question, because low water pressure only affects primarily the commercial style bathrooms. In a residential style bathroom, a toilet tank holds the water. That gravity fed water then goes into the bowl to flush out whatever you put in there. And so we only don't even worry about the water pressure coming into the line. We're all about the gravity flush from the tank into the bowl.
That's wonderful. I appreciate your time, Bill. At GREENBUILD, and we're fortunate to have with us Alex Wilson of the Resilient Design Institute. Alex, why don't you, there's been some watershed things happening, no pun intended, but why don't you tell us a little bit about the Resilient Design Institute and also the new resilience rating system?
Yeah, so the Resilient Design Institute, based in Brattleboro, Vermont, we've been around almost 6 years now. I got involved with resilience back after Hurricane Katrina in 2005, and got involved with U.S. Green Building Council efforts to embrace the rebuilding that would happen in the Gulf Coast. And out of that, I got excited about resilience as a motivation to get more people to build greener buildings and design greener communities. Because a lot of the strategies for resilience are the same strategies we've been advancing for 30 years in sustainable building. So, we've spent a lot of time over the last several years developing pilot credits for the LEED rating system, pilot credits on resilient design. Those were in place for a year, but then taken down, and we've reworked them, and they're now going to be folded into the realy rating system, a new platform that there was an announcement Tuesday here about that becoming the resilience rating system that will be managed by the U.S. Green Building Council. So we're really excited about that. I've been advocating for a national rating system on resilience for some years now, and I think the realy platform will be the way to do it. We're going to be incorporating the pilot credits into that realy rating system, and then evolving the rating system as we go along. So we've assembled a realy steering committee, and all that was just announced this week.
We're here at GREENBUILD Boston with John Edson and the company Sodco, which happens to be a Rhode Island company. John, why are you at GREENBUILD?
We're here to introduce our product, our sustainable turf grass, which is Black Beauty with microclover. And it's a product that uses less water, less fertilizer, and it is drought tolerant, and is unlike the grass that has been grown before, which has been commonly known as bluegrass, which has dominated the turf grass in New England. This is the next generation that's going to replace the often very thirsty, very hungry bluegrass with something that is truly sustainable. The microclover Black Beauty is a sustainable grass. Our grass that we have here, the microclover Black Beauty, can be installed exactly like you would install any sod, regardless of the variety. This is something that we harvest to order, and we can deliver it to your location, and the ground will be prepped in ready, preparation for our grass to be delivered, and then we roll it out, and you give it some water, and once those roots take hold, it'll require much less water than your typical bluegrass.
How long has your product been on the market?
We started this as a contract grow for the city of New York in the parks department on a ball field that could not have any pesticides, herbicides, fertilizer on the grass, and so we were contracted to grow this product, and that was 5 years ago. We've been selling it ever since. We've been working with it. We've been living with it, and it's been quite good.
How well placed is your product in New England?
We go to all of the states in New England, and including the Cape Cod and the islands. We go to southern New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, all of Connecticut, all of Rhode Island, all of Massachusetts.
I like it. Thank you very much, John. I appreciate it.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back, everybody. Architect Ken Filarski here in the show Designing for Sustainability with the Renewable Now Network. Today I have with me a good friend, Mark Winslow with Gilbane Building Company. Mark, Gilbane has been a strong supporter of the U.S. Green Building Council and Green Build for quite a while. Why don't you give us a little overview on how you've seen Green Build and the U.S. Green Building Council change over the years?
Okay, thanks, Ken. We've been members of USGBC since 1999. We're platinum members, and we've seen, from the infancy, USGBC grow considerably. This is the second time back in Boston. I think the last time they were here in Boston, it was a record attendance, over almost 28,000 people. Over the years, we're starting to see more suppliers on board, more manufacturers on board, and the intent of USGBC really was to push the market, transform the market, and we've definitely seen that, and we're seeing that now with LEED V4 really pushing the envelope on what are we putting into our buildings. So it's been an exciting opportunity to be here for all those years.
Now, Mark, you mentioned LEED. That was the initial rating system with the U.S. Green Building Council, and I know that in your work with Gilbane, you do a lot with a number of different rating systems. What is your take on all the growing family of rating systems that are part of U.S. Green Building Council and the Green Building Certification Institute?
Well, as you mentioned, just LEED was the first one, and we're now starting to see now LEED for neighborhoods come on board, the well sites come on board now, and it's starting to gain some momentum across the country. Rhode Island being the first with sites, welcoming that to see where we go with that going forward.
In terms of Gilbane's say volume of the business that they do, how much is in the sustainability area, and particularly how much is in the LEED family?
So with regard to sustainability, we just came, I guess the new rankings just came out. We were in the top 10, I believe we were at number 7 with regards to the number of projects out there.
Very impressive, Mark. Thank you very much, and good luck to Gilbane and your future.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
Today we have with us Charles Doherty. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
You did.
Doherty, very good. With an amazing piece of sculptural sustainability that's right behind us. Charles, why don't you give us a little overview about this wonderful product?
I'd be happy to. This is the Smart Flower, which was first designed by a small group of young engineers in Austria approximately 4.5 years ago. And the inspiration for the Smart Flower is the sunflower. This operates essentially the same as a sunflower does, which is it opens in the morning, it tracks the sun throughout the day using a dual axis tracker. At the end of the day, the sun goes down, the panels fold in, fold down, and it waits until the sun rises the next day. It is designed to generate roughly between 4,000 and 6,000 kilowatt hours a year, depending on where you're located in the world, and is roughly 40% more efficient than your typical standard ground-mounted or roof-based solar system.
How does it become 40% more efficient? What are the characteristics that push that envelope?
There are several. The first, of course, is the dual-axis tracking, because if you think about a fixed system, it only really can optimize the sun during a short period of time during the day. Here, we are at an optimal angle to the sun from the moment the sun rises till the time the sun sets every day. Second feature is that this unit cleans itself. So each day when it opens up, small brushes that are underneath the panel brush the panel beneath it. Same thing when it closes at night, again, another brushing. So you lose, with standard systems, you're going to lose a certain amount of production because of the covering of dust and other debris on the panels. Here, we remove that each day. Another factor that adds to the efficiency is that unlike a system that's very close to the ground or very close to a roof, where a lot of heat is generated, which causes a loss in electrical production, here, given the way that this is designed, all day it's naturally cooling, even without a breeze, just simply because it's open to the elements.
Did I see one of these outside the convention center?
You did.
Is that a permanent installation?
No,
or
that's here for the show.
Oh, that's here for the show.
We'll see if we can talk them into making it permanent.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Charles. With me here at Greenbuild is Ralph DeNola. Ralph, why don't you introduce yourself and give us a little bit of background about who you are and what you do.
Sure, yeah, I'm Ralph DeNola, I'm CEO with New Buildings Institute. We're based in Portland, Oregon. We're a nonprofit. We've been operating for 20 years now, and we're really focused on innovation in the building industry. So we do that through research, through development of design guidance and codes and policy. So we're pretty excited about a new effort that we've just released yesterday. These are code provisions that are basically for enhancing stretch codes, and they provide about a 20% improvement over ASHRAE 90.1 2013 and IECC 2015. So we've just announced that. It's on our website, newbuildings.org, and we're happy to talk to cities and states that are interested in advancing their stretch code activities.
What do you see as the receptivity of the stretch code across the country?
Oh, I think there's, a lot of jurisdictions are interested in advancing code, and so, we see the stretch code as this opportunity to provide either, a legislated requirement for those stretch codes for cities, or they could be incentivized through either financial incentives, utility incentives, or development incentives. So there's, I think, a lot of interest, because what we're trying to do is say, how are we going to make the progress that we need to make to achieve the goals of the Paris Accord? And a lot of jurisdictions, be they cities or states, have climate policies, and we know that the building sector is really a key sector in achieving those goals. So we're working this 20% set of provisions to then moving towards 40% and then a zero energy code, looking at outcome-based performance.
What is your target date on the zero energy?
Well, it's in the works. I'll just say what we're doing right now is working on the 40% code. So we know a lot of jurisdictions have goals around 2030, 2040, 2050, and so we want those jurisdictions to have the tools to actually achieve those goals. And so we think these code provisions are really a great resource for them, and they're now available for the 20%.
Thank you, Ralph.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks, Ken.
Take care.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Architect Ken Filarski here with the show, Designing for Sustainability on the Renewable Now Network. Once again, we're on the floor, the exposition floor of GREENBUILD Boston 2017. And with me today, to my left, are two incredible people from Massachusetts, Chris Schaffner.
How you doing?
And Gray Lee.
Howdy.
I know you're veterans. You used to sit on the USGBC Board of Directors. You sit on a lot of technical committees.
Yeah.
Gray was a former executive director of the Massachusetts U.S. Green Building Council. So why are you here? Don't you get tired of this stuff?
More green buildings, Ken. That's what we want. I never get tired of this stuff. It's great to see all the wonderful people all over this expo hall, all over the convention that are dedicated to sustainability in the built environment. It's a really exciting place.
Yeah, I was just talking to some people about why am I here, because a lot of the conferences that we go to, we're looking for customers, and this is not the case here. It's our colleagues, it's our friends, it's the people building a community, and we want to be part of it. That's why we're here.
What do you see for the future for the U.S. Green Building Council or for GreenBuild or for your own work? Now, Gray, I know you've ventured off into a new area of exploration, so to speak.
Sure, that's right, Ken. Yeah, I'm taking a year to do a little school, pick up a Master's of Public Administration at the Harvard Kennedy School to focus on advocacy for sustainability in the built environment. But you know, the future for USGBC is very bright. The expansion of the portfolio of tools that USGBC is offering to the world, to the real estate industry, is really exciting. All the different things that they're using to help practitioners improve their practice and be able to actually deliver on the promise of green buildings, it's awesome. So we're really excited about USGBC.
Wow, great, that was great. Monday I was part of the international roundtable that was before GreenBuild, and they had representatives from more than 24 other countries that are using LEED and struggling with sustainability issues. And I think the future is taking what we're doing here in Boston and letting those lessons be used around the world. We need to make green building not just something that rich people aspire to, but something that serves everyone, all 7+ billion of us, because that's the only way we're going to have a future where we're all on a planet having good lives and healthy futures.
With me today, we have a very special person, not from the United States, but a close ally, Maya Safarovic. Maya, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, what's your role, and who you represent?
I'm with the Austrian Trade Commission Advantage Austria in Chicago. We are one of 5 offices in the U.S., and our main business is to promote business between Austrian and American companies. Our office, for instance, focuses in the sustainable and green building and construction industry. This is why we are here at GreenBuild. We've been doing the Austrian Pavilion at GreenBuild for 7 years now, and we've been with GreenBuild since 2007 in total.
Now, is it the Chicago office that
Yes.
deals with sustainability?
Exactly. Out of the 5 offices in the U.S., our Chicago office is the one that focuses on sustainable industry. And we bring all the technology and products from Austria to the U.S.
Well, it must have given you some positive returns, otherwise you wouldn't be here for 7 years. But could you elaborate a little bit more about some of the specifics about why you think your presence here is successful, not only for GreenBuild, but more so for the country of Austria?
More actually for the companies that are exhibiting with us, other than ourselves. But we are basically here to feature the Austrian products and Austrian technologies. Austria has so much to offer in the field of sustainability and has a long-standing experience over the last few decades, basically, focusing on the strengths of energy efficiency and sustainability in a variety of industries. Here at the GreenBuild, what we feature is, for instance, companies that focus on building automation, We also have a company that specializes in exterior and interior cladding. They've been with us since 2008, I believe, and they've established their own subsidiary. The first step is usually attending a Greenbuild trade show or trade show in general. The second or the next steps would be to establish a subsidiary. And this is our main focus, basically, not getting them into the market for a one-time thing, but have them a long-term establishment in the U.S.
Thundermax is a manufacturer of exterior siding and interior wall paneling out of Austria. We have pretty unique products. We have no local competitors here in the US, one competitor out of Europe as well. And Greenbuild show is an important show for us because it is exactly the audience that we need. We need architects, we need to call on architects, get into specifications for commercial buildings, and that's a good place to be. And together with Advantage Austria, we have a good partnership here to exhibit at Greenbuild. Typical project is 1,000 square feet and up. Average size is about 5,000 square feet. We did bigger projects like the one behind us here, Goodwin College. This is about 25,000 square feet educational project.
If I had to ask in terms of your growth in the United States, your operation, what would it be? Are you growing by what % per year?
This year we will grow at about 35% here in the US. We actually plan to grow even a little bit more. But it took a little bit to really get the design community knowing about us, and this show and also visiting the important architects are the main things to do for us. So we are very happy with the growth here in the US.
Are you going to sign up for Greenbuild number 8?
We did, actually.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
We have a 20 by 50 booth for next year.
Wait a minute, it's going to be
to take in
Chicago,
in our hometown. Yes, exactly.
You cut down your travel costs.
And we are very much looking forward to having it in Chicago.
I'm sure you are. Thank you very much, Maya. It's a pleasure. I'm here with Rick Fedrizzi, one of the founders of the U.S. Green Building Council. Rick, what are you taking away from this Boston Green Build?
This show, I think, has been remarkable in that it has really brought people together in a way that recognizes that we're no longer a collection of startup organizations. We are, in fact, a collection of experts, and experts from every different discipline. We started out as architects and engineers getting together and advancing most of this. What you see now throughout this event is the design community, finance community, insurance community, executives, teachers, builders, everyone coalescing around an idea of sustainability. And more or less bringing in new ideas to sustainability, that being one of the biggest that I'm excited about is human health and wellness.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because as U.S. Green Building Council has transformed the market, transformed a lot of the surroundings around us. In your transition now, you're incorporating the human being, the human body,
yes.
The human mind. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, what we looked at very closely is the idea that LEED has always had a very strong connection to human health. But it was really centered in the areas of light and air quality, and so what we've done is we've started looking at how LEED would in fact relate to another rating system that actually took the idea of human health and wellness about 75% further. So really deep dive into how air and light and acoustics and toxins affect people, but also going further into the world of fitness and comfort and mind and nutrition. Things that drive us all and are the advancement of our society. And most people have said to me, can you explain to me how you left USGBC and you left LEED to go do this? Like, what is new about that? And I said, no, it is not leaving one for the other. The first wave of sustainability was truly the advent of LEED and building sustainable buildings in cities and communities. The second wave of sustainability is built firmly on top of that foundation, and that is the wave of human health and wellness. So you really can't have one without the other, and the only reason we're able to do a real strong focus on human health is because we have already built that foundation of sustainability for the built environment.
Rick, well said. We can't thank you enough for your vision, the recognition of the opportunity in front of you and all of us to get from where we were to where we are now.
Well, thank you. It's been an honor, and back at you.
Thank
you guys have done a lot of great stuff. Thank you.
Take care, Rick.
Thank you.
Be good.
Starting to get involved in the system.
With us today are 3 students. They're juniors at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. So, ladies, please tell us your names and what you're studying.
Hi, my name is Isabella Cobble, and I'm studying civil engineering.
I'm Christine Guiney, and I'm also studying civil engineering.
I'm Hannah Wharton, and I'm studying civil engineering too.
Very interesting. I just found out my grandson is interested in engineering. He's 10 years old. I would never have guessed it, but it's commendable that you're involved in civil engineering. It's not easy, and as they say, it's a man's world out there in civil engineering. So, have you ever been to Greenbuild before?
No, we have not. This is our first time.
What do you think? What do you think of it?
It's been a great experience. We got here yesterday, volunteered a few hours, got to go to a few workshops. Overall, it's been great.
I've really enjoyed it. It's awesome to hear from people in the industry and what they're doing in order to make the world a better place within the sustainability aspect.
Yeah, and I've learned a lot about LEED and water resources, and it's really interesting for our civil engineering degree.
Well, that was the question that was going to come into my mind next, and I'm glad you led into it, is what do you see as the connection between sustainability and civil engineering? I'll start with you.
Well, I would say definitely water. We're all really interested in water and water resources engineering, so I've definitely learned a lot about water resources while I've been here.
Another thing that's been really interesting is urban design. So a lot has gone into incorporating green space into our urban design and urban spaces, and that's something that really interests me. So it was really cool to hear from a lot of people about how they're implementing biophilic acupuncture into different urban spaces.
Yeah, and again, LEED is one of the leading organizations in the country for efficiency and green infrastructure, so it's been awesome learning about that, and like everything from stormwater runoff management to, like Christine said, green spaces. It's been awesome learning about that.
Well, you're terrific examples of women in civil engineering, and I would like to add one last question. What would be your message to the younger women that are be following in your footsteps?
Definitely pursue a STEM degree. Take as many math and science classes as you can when you're young in high school, middle school. Don't let anyone persuade you that you can't, say that you can't follow your dreams, because you can. You can do it.
Definitely. Don't let anyone think that, I don't know, it definitely isn't. The percentage of women is growing tremendously, and it keeps growing all because of the young kids that keep coming up and want to become engineers or want to work in the STEM field. It's doable and it's a lot of fun, and we're saving the world, so it's awesome.
Yeah, engineering is fun. Everyone should do it. I think girls especially get the numbers up. It's really great.
Ladies, thank you very much. You represent very well. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
With me right now is Mike McNally, who's chairman of the board of directors of the United States Green Building Council, former CEO of Skanska USA. That's it. Got that pronunciation right. So Mike, you're at the helm of an organization that's certainly not only transformed the market, but there's more market transformation going on. What is your vision for USGBC, and whether that aligns with, I hope it does, with USGBC's vision for the future?
No, absolutely it aligns. I mean, really what's happening with USGBC is it's going global. I mean, you saw that with the Greenbuild in India. You see that with Greenbuild in South America, in Europe, in China. So, I mean, it's an exciting time, and the LEED standard is growing, and you'll see GBCI certifying projects all over the world, more and more and more of that. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is for us to kind of integrate and work better with other certification systems, other standards, and that we're making pretty good progress there. So we're trying to take this global, spread the standard, LEED standard across the globe, have GBCI certify that standard as well as others, and make it easier to integrate these standards, because right now there is some market confusion confusion as to the many standards there are. They don't talk to one another, and to consolidate some of those and get more clarity.
The proliferation is perhaps not the right word, but the expansion of rating systems, was that done consciously to sort of hit all the points that need to be brought together?
I think so. I think that each market has each different approaches to being sustainable, and they have to be addressed. LEED by itself wasn't going to get it done outside of the building environment. So things like sites, which thank you very much for your efforts in making that the law of the land in Rhode Island, both of our home state. So they do, but in the end, we acquire and/or develop those standards, and then the long-term vision is to integrate those into one, if we can, to get rid of some of the market confusion, and to make them talk to one another. And credits in one would count for certification in another. I mean, I think that's Mahesh's vision.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed is that every time I see the metrics, so to speak, the statistics, they're powerful in terms of the impact, the market transformation, but I also know that people don't realize, what the impact, what the footprint is of U.S. Green Building Council and their cohorts around the world and the rating systems.
I mean, just think about it. We just had Green Build in India and China. I mean, we've only scratched the surface. I mean, it all should explode, and it's pretty exciting that USGBC and GBCI have been part of that. I mean, I think globally we can really make a difference. It's already, for the new building environment here in the United States, we have an enormous market share. That's just happened. Our next approach here is existing buildings. We're really going to make an impact, and we're working hard on that, and then going global. So there's still a lot of work to do, but we're making pretty good progress.
Let me circle back, because you were part of a global organization, Skanska.
Yes.
How do companies like Skanska view the U.S. Green Building Council, all the LEED rating systems?
Skanska embraced USGBC. They just love their relationship with USGBC. You may know Beth Heider was the chair of the board maybe 5-6 years ago. She's a Skanska employee. So they actually took it to Sweden. Now there's a Swedish building council that was kind of created to kind of copy USGBC, and I think that it all started here, and we should be proud of that. But Skanska works hard at being green.
It certainly is something to be proud of, and Mike, we're proud that you're doing what you're doing, and thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Ken. Nice talking to you. Take care.
And with me right now is Maureen Hart. And Maureen, why don't you quickly tell us what you do, we know your name, and why what you're doing is so important.
I'm the executive director of an organization called the International Society of Sustainability Professionals. I have members all over the world who are working to make the world a better place economically, socially, and environmentally. It's triple bottom line sustainability. And this relates to LEED and green buildings, but my members are doing things beyond that. Many of them do work in the green building space or energy space, but they're also working on waste. They're working on social sustainability. And so we've actually now created a professional credential for sustainability professionals that acknowledge that they have the skills, abilities, and knowledge that is needed to be an effective sustainability professional, to really move the needle for all of the organizations in the world that have to be doing better so that we can become a sustainable globe.
I just had an idea, and let me throw this out to you. I also happen to be chair of the U.S. Green Building Council in Rhode Island, and I chair the Upper Northeast.
Okay.
Would your organization, have you ever contemplated, or would you be willing to consider partnering with USGBC chapters? Because we have a number of different number of different people who aren't quote unquote, design or construction professionals, and I think that they would like to have a credential home.
We actually just started a partnership with GBCI, which is the credentialing arm of USGBC in DC, and we are working with them to expand our credentialing program and to work with USGBC. And in fact, we've already talked about how their chapters and our chapters can actually work together. So yes, absolutely.
Well, that's good, because sometimes USGBC and GBCI, they're focused on the national organization, and they're a little bit weak take on the chapter?
And what we do is we help our members connect to each other. We've actually just started doing something we call regional learning networks, because if you're in Texas, it's really hard to get together for a chapter meeting, because it's a long way from San Antonio to Dallas. We're doing regional virtual lunches, so people can talk once a month, once a quarter.
Do they talk with food in their mouth?
You know, you can't see that, so it's okay.
Maureen, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I think we may have some more things to talk about.
I would love to talk to you.
All right, terrific. Thank you.
What's the price of a gallon of gas? Depends where you live. It's one thing here in Louisiana. It's another in the tar sands of Alberta. And it's something else in the skies over Los Angeles. That price at the pump is only part of the story. Please, tell your senators to vote for clean energy and climate legislation now. And then if you can, lend a hand to our friends on the Gulf Coast. After all, they're the ones paying the highest price for a gallon of gas.
Jim, did you know that all of Greenville is powered by renewable energy, which then powers a microgrid?
No, I didn't, but how can you not be surprised? You know, that's the wave of the future, and what we're about to see on the floor here today is the future.
Well, let's catch that wave, go down to the floor, and let's talk to some people just about this microgrid.
Okay.
Architect Ken Filarski of the show Designing for Sustainability with the Renewable Now Network. We're here on the floor of GREENBUILD Boston 2017, and with me now I have Brian Patterson, who's part of a nonprofit alliance who have sort of shepherded through an amazing accomplishment. Brian, why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, so what we have here is a microgrid that's actually live here at the show that is harvesting solar energy outside, from time to time combining that with the utility supplied energy, storing it when necessary to cover times of periods when solar isn't available, and then distributing it out to the show floor here. And we can distribute both AC power, which is a more traditional form of power, or DC power, which is more the digital and electronic kind of power. So the way we do that is to have a system that takes both the utility, it can come from a generator, a solar panel, a windmill, you know, any kind of a turbine that can generate power, or a static generator, and then kind of equalize that by putting it on what's called a direct current bus. It changes it into a form of power that's very simply then combinable. We then store that or use it directly, and if we want to use it as AC, we electronically make it AC power. If we want to use it as DC, all we have to do is adjust the voltage that you might want to use. You know, your cell phone runs on 5 volts, and maybe your car charger runs on 380 volts, so we want to be able to change the voltage to do those different things. So the notion here is that we wanted to, at the trade show, which is all about sustainability, all about environmental responsibility and so on, we wanted to walk the talk. And that's literally what we're doing here. We're showing people that this is not something that comes off a PowerPoint presentation or, you know, a textbook someplace, but something that people can do today. And if they're truly responsible and looking forward in our environmental and technical terms to move civilization forward, this is the kind of thing that's coming.
We're graced here today with Jamie Statter, Vice President of Strategic Relations for the U.S. Green Building Council, and we're going to talk a little bit about some new programs that USGBC and GBCI has, sites and LEED ND, in particular, what's happening in Rhode Island and what the importance of that is for the rest of the country and the rest of the world. Jamie?
Hi, Ken. Nice to see you again.
Same here.
Well, we're really excited about what happened with Rhode Island this last year. Rhode Island became the first state to formally adopt the Sustainable Sites Initiative via a legislative process, which is a remarkable achievement and something that, as U.S. Green Building Council and GBCI, we are thrilled to support. The Sustainable Sites Initiative takes the model of LEED and extends it beyond the building to drive sustainable outcomes on land, manage our resources in the air, in water, and make strategic decisions about land planning and development.
How do you see sites in particular touching upon a greater population than, say, LEED does?
Well, sites covers everything external to the building, so it allows us to talk about sustainability in areas that LEED left out because they don't have a building on them, like parks, common spaces, streetscapes, but it also enhances the sustainability approaches of LEED by going one step further and looking at the sustainable outcomes that go external to the building envelope. So when you see a LEED Platinum building, you can also look and have a Sites Platinum space outside that would create enhanced environmental benefits such as resource management, ecosystem services, but also for the humans that occupy the world in which we live. Exponential health benefits in the form of cleaner air, clean water, and places for social interaction, mental respite, and access to nature. So it has a pretty holistic effect that enhances LEED. So it's a program that we're thrilled to support and very pleased with Rhode Island's leadership on that as well.
Well, going back to Rhode Island, since we both brought it up, what is the importance of that, and how can the Rhode Island's experience, which is yet to come, how can that be leveraged?
Well, Rhode Island is the first to put a legislative process in place that adopted sites, and the governor just signed into law the revised Green Building Act, which asks for sites to be incorporated in state-owned land development activities. Other states should and can do this and should follow Rhode Island's leadership. The model of LEED was sort of a three-pronged approach, and that's how we're looking at sites as well. One is create a community of committed professionals that are implementing the rating system in their work, and such as yourself, who's a Sites AP. The second piece is translate global goals, and in this case, the case of sites, the global goals are resiliency and sustainability on land into project-by-project implementation. And that is essential because we can talk about buzzwords like resiliency and sustainability all we want, but we need an actual plan to get that done, and that happens at a project level. And then third, most importantly to the discussion of what Rhode Island as a state has done and what other states should do, create and stimulate local and state action for scale. So once states start to do this in their own work, incorporate it into code, ask that developers utilize sites for expedited permitting or preferential tax treatment, that creates a whole market effect. And then all of a sudden, these big lofty goals are happening all over the world and in practice. And that's the vision we have, and it happens one state at a time, one city at a time. So we're very pleased that Rhode Island has been the first to put a stake in the ground on this.
Good to hear it, and I'm certainly glad and appreciative of the support the USGBC and GBCI has given us. One of the things that struck me as we were developing support for sites or trying to get it through the legislation is that sites, not in comparison to or not instead of LEED, but there's a tremendous affinity or door-opening effect that sites has with the general population, more so than LEED, because people are saying, oh, I can't do that, I'm not an architect, I'm not an engineer, but people feel the landscape, they're in touch with it every day. I know they're in touch with buildings every day, but somehow they just have this innate connection with the landscape. And so from my standpoint, what I see sites doing is opening up the world of sustainability to a greater population and to use the theme of green build all in.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We have to think about where we interact as humans in every way, not just the building, but beyond it. And it's good to hear that you think that there's more sort of democratization potential of sites, and that's something that we'll definitely be considering as we watch the program grow, which it should be doing at an exponential rate from here on out. So.
I certainly hope so. Thank you very much, Jamie. It's great talking to you as always.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're really excited about the early work from Rhode Island, the commitments to sustainability in public buildings and facilities, and that's been part of a story that we've been able to tell to states and cities across the U.S. So the Green Buildings Act in Rhode Island remains in our portfolio of good news, right? And since then, we've been so excited to expand that conversation, working with many people with the USGBC Rhode Island chapter, of course, and with members of the legislature and the governor's office to expand what we're talking about with green public property, right? And so the ability for us to now work with the state of Rhode Island and local entities to expand sustainability leadership beyond buildings and into the spaces between allows us to really expand that conversation and the sustainability metrics that are being used for better performance, especially in a state like Rhode Island, where you've got the amount of coastline and water resources that need protection, and it's not just the building. We have other things that play into that ecosystem that need management. So we're very excited about the new initiative that was just adopted by the state of Rhode Island just a few weeks ago, and we're expecting and hoping that this will be the first of many stories to come where other cities and states can make similar commitments to greener public lands.
First, I am so proud of the partnership demonstrated by state of Rhode Island. Just last month, the state became the first state in the nation to reference both sites and LEED ND rating system in public law. Of course, no pioneering policy can exist without its champions. So first, our advocacy team, then our own USGBC board chair, Mike McNally, to David Wittek, the guy who funded this event, to Ken Filarski, current chair and co-founder of the USGBC Rhode Island community and beyond. It truly was a team effort. So let's give them a big round of applause.
I'm here now with the president and CEO of the United States Green Building, or U.S. Green Building Council, I should say, Mahesh Ramanujam. Mahesh, your thoughts, your inspiration just went out like a meteor, like a comet to the audience. Do you have anything else to convey to our network, our listeners?
I think we should be all in. We should be committed to everything that we care about, most importantly the people, the planet, and the progress. Because if we are not going to do it, who else is going to do it?
It's amazing the transformation that's happened in the last 19, 20 years. What do you see for the next 19 or 20 years?
Next 19 to 20 years, we need to cross what we actually committed to, a green building for everyone within a generation, which means that you have to double down, triple down, build leadership, make projects happen, make initiatives happen, because we care about this home. And we need to make sure that we leave it in a better place than where we received it for our children's children and for the children's to come.
Thank you very much, Mahesh.
Thank you, Ken.
It's a privilege knowing you and working with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ken. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, as a non-partisan organization and a global leader, USGBC goes to great lengths to bring people in. But what we will not do is turn our backs on science, data, or our fundamental responsibility to leave this planet full of abundance.
This is RNN, the Renewable Now Network, where sustainability makes sense.